Paolo, c'era una terza questione? No, perfetto. Allora abbiamo un'altra domanda, prego.
Sì, sono Andrea Cavalli dell'Agenzia Italia. Una domanda ai registi. Questo film, quindi in Italia, ovviamente, immagino anche nel mondo, sarà visto dalla maggior parte del pubblico in versione non 3D. Ecco, volevo capire, quando avete realizzato il film, come vi siete, cioè, come avete lavorato praticamente pensando, cioè voi avete pensato a un film che sarebbe andato poi in 3D o l'avete immaginato in 2D? Cioè, volevo capire come, considerando che la maggior parte delle persone lo vedrà in 2D.
When we first started this, 5 years ago, we were just working on the story, and we had started out thinking it was going to be in 2D. Jeffrey came to us a little bit later and realized it was going to be in 3D, and we decided that we were going to, work in 3D and 2D at the same time, and make sure that both versions of the movie were the best that they could be. Obviously, we weren't walking around with glasses on 24/7, so we were actually looking at the movie half the time, in 2D and making sure the shots were beautiful, and that, the camera work was what we wanted it to be, and that, the animation was really great, and that, the film was a good film, foundation. We had a good foundation for a good film, and, as we were doing this, we would look at it in 3D and make sure that the 3D version was also as good as it could be. So we were switching back and forth to make sure that both versions of the film that we were making at the same time were as good as they both could be.
Abbiamo domande? Prego, Sergio Fabi, prego.
Kiefer Sutherland, lei è un mito in tutto il mondo, anche per 24. Come per Baldwin quest'anno ha vinto il Golden Globe, come per Glenn Close, per Damages. Quanto è importante per un attore scegliere una serie piuttosto che un film cinematografico? Cioè, e poi soprattutto se ha dato un fine al suo 24, nel senso ha deciso che si arriverà al 10, all'11°, al 12°, o ancora andrà avanti per...
Sergio, stai programmando le tue serate dei prossimi 3 anni. 24 avrà una fine.
We approach each season as if it's our last. It is such an undertaking for the writers specifically who are writing the equivalent of 12 films a year. We look at that season and literally we break it down scene by scene and we get focused on that. We are definitely doing an 8th season. We start in May. And with regards to why I chose to do a television show, the film industry dramatically changed in the last 20 years. The films that I love to go watch, things like Ordinary People, Terms of Endearment, kind of smaller dramas, the $20 million movie disappeared. It did not fit in the economic makeup of what the major studios were doing. And television adopted that. And you can see that with shows like ER, NYPD Blue, and then they got stronger, I believe, with things like The Sopranos and what the cable networks were doing. And that was the material that I was interested in. I've never been very concerned with the difference in mediums, whether it be theater, television, film, or an animated film. My interest has always been in a story, and then finding a character within the context of that story, and if I could help, then I would be glad to do it. And did I answer the question?
Yes, I think so.
All right, okay.
So, ti resta solo un anno. Prego, abbiamo tempo per ancora un paio di domande, forse anche meno. Ecco, prego, per Paolo Festa di nuovo.
Salve di nuovo, domanda per Kiefer Sutherland. Le è capitato di lavorare con Hugh Laurie, col Dottor House? Se mi dà 2 parole sul suo rapporto con House e se c'è un po' di rivalità tra voi due, anche ironica, grazie.
No, absolutely not. I think the first time actually, Mr. Katzenbergh runs a charity that he does right before the Emmys, and I think one of the first times that I actually physically met Hugh Laurie was at that event. I am a huge fan of Hugh Laurie. The first time I saw him perform was in The Blackadder with Rowan Atkins, which was shot some 20 years ago. One of the things that I feel badly for an American audience for that primarily knows him from House is he uses an American accent. And so to hear him in this film again, when I playing Dr. Cockroach, to hear that kind of sniveling British maniacal thing that he does so well, just it was nostalgic for me, and it made me feel happy. So no, I think anybody who's used to doing films and that has transferred back, you know, in his case, transferred back to television, or television for me was a first-time experience. I think there's a kind of a very gentle understanding of what the other might be going through. And for instance, I think the first thing he looked at me and said at Jeffrey's event was, "Oh man, I'm so sorry." And I said the same thing back to him, because the schedule is what it is.
Allora, noi non resta che... è una ultimissima domanda, allora, prego.
Grazie. Sono Sabrina Lugetti, Proiezioni Mentali. Allora, volevo chiedere ai realizzatori, visto che ci avevano accennato più o meno come era nata la realizzazione dell'alieno che assomiglia al signor Katzenbergh, cosa li aveva ispirati per scegliere gli altri mostri e la realizzazione dei mostri stessi, insomma, anche a livello proprio grafico, perché il blob è fatto in questa maniera, che cosa li ha ispirati? Grazie.
I inspired them for all the monsters, not just the aliens.
He's not kidding.
There's many facets to Mr. Katzenbergh that we can draw from. When we first started drawing these characters and creating them, we definitely wanted to, you know, seeing as this was an homage to the 1950s horror sci-fi films, we wanted to start with characters that people knew and you know, the characters that people probably had seen the most from the 1950s. And so we started, you know, looking at the old films, and we started seeing themes throughout, and we tried to put those into each of the characters and to draw them, you know, accordingly. As we were designing them and getting them ready for the movie, we started thinking about casting and personality. All this was kind of moving forward at the same time. But our first and foremost was to make sure that we were paying homage to, you know, what we were trying to do in the beginning. So we picked these characters and kind of moved forward from there.
I'd just like to add that we put together a wish list of actors, and we have been incredibly blessed to actually get that wish list of actors. Everyone in the movie, these guys have been really sensational, and they've brought, you know, their own talents to the film, and you know, they've helped us develop the characters and the personalities of the characters, and they've all been fantastic and hilariously funny.
Allora, non resta che ringraziare quindi i nostri ospiti.